I live in Chandler, Arizona. This happened during my intense gaming phase. It was also during summertime, so it was super hot outside every day. Engrossed in Call of Duty on my computer, I relished the solace provided by my parents' frequent travels. This incident occurred on a Friday night, or a school-free night, allowing me to indulge in my late-night gaming routine. After submitting a due paper post-school, I embarked on a shopping errand per my mom's instructions. They'd left cash, but I always had to show receipts to ensure honesty. With my shopping list in hand, I drove my old Camry to Whole Foods. During the grocery run, an unnerving encounter with a stranger unfolded, persistently engaging me in conversation. Leaving the store, I loaded my trunk and prepared for a scorching Arizona night. Returning home, I dived back into Call of Duty, connecting with my friend Johnny. A couple of hours passed and I told Johnny I was going to go and make dinner. After preparing pasta, I heard a thump from upstairs. I didn't know what it was, a footstep. I don't know. But I didn't think too much about it because random noises in a house are common. Returning to my room, I resumed gaming, occasionally glancing at the darkened hallway. During a break, I noticed a change in visibility through the door crack and instinctively turned my chair towards my bed. I turned around. I saw a man sitting upright on my bed, almost smiling. I jumped onto my desk, causing chaos. He laughed at me, and I asked what he wanted. Terrified, I fled to the hallway, witnessing him slowly emerging. Desperation led me downstairs to the landline, arming myself with a kitchen knife. In a panic, I dialed 911, shouting at the man to get out of my house. He slowly walked down the stairs and then walked out the door. As soon as he got out, I slammed the door and locked it. I called my parents and told them everything. At first, they didn't believe me, but then they could tell I was scared and exhausted. I was. My dad called the police. He also asked me to walk around the house to see if the man stole anything. I walked through the entire house, and everything looked good to me. Whatever the man's intentions were, maybe just to scare me, to steal from us. I'm never going to be home alone again.
A couple of years ago, when I was in college, something scary happened to me as I was playing video games. Many nights I'd just play games even though I had homework I needed to get done. I had a roommate called Kevin. That particular night, after I finished all of my assignments for tomorrow, I delved into Call of Duty around 9 p.m. The house was shrouded in darkness. I had just finished a 3-hour assignment stint. My headset covered my ears entirely, so of course I wouldn't hear any noises. I took my headset off for a second, and that's when I heard someone banging on my door. First I thought it was Kevin, so I told him he could enter. He didn't enter, so I opened the door. There was no one there. I walked to Kevin's room and knocked. No answer. I thought he had his headset on so he couldn't hear me knocking. Returning to my room, I resumed gaming for about 30 minutes. In the midst of a round, I caught a movement out of the corner of my eye. My closed bedroom door was slowly creaking open. It creeped me out. It was pitch dark, and I couldn't see anything. We usually keep the lights off to save on the electricity bill. I glimpsed someone briefly before they moved away. Hoping it was Kevin, I snapped him. He said he was at the school gym. Panic set in. Someone I did not know was inside our house. Feeling defenseless, I couldn't leave my room. I started to hear footsteps downstairs coming from the kitchen. Fearful, I pondered escaping through the window but hesitated. Believe it or not, throughout this experience, I never thought about calling the police. It just never came to my mind. I was just scared. I heard nothing downstairs, so I decided to risk it. I ran downstairs, went for the door, ran outside to my car, and locked myself in. Shortly after, Kevin arrived, and we cautiously entered the house together. He must have left before I escaped. It was easy for him to get in since me and Kevin rarely lock the front door as we go in and out pretty often. But of course, that changed after what I had experienced.
When I was around 7 or 8, back in the early 2000s, we often had family gatherings at my aunt's house. I always liked going to her house to see my cousins and the rest of the family. Her house was the go-to spot, boasting a large yard with four-wheelers, a volleyball court, and indoor entertainment like big TVs and a GameCube. One day, my parents, brother, and I joined the rest of the family at my aunt's place. We had the usual festivities: food, laughter, and catching up. Afterward, it was decided that we'd watch a movie together upstairs. I had already watched that movie though, so I wasn't looking forward to it. I wanted to play on the GameCube, so I excused myself to use the basement restroom. Once downstairs, I couldn't resist going on the GameCube sitting in the basement living room. Alone in the dimly lit space, I fired up the console and started playing Mario, relishing the solitude. I could hear the TV upstairs and laughs. About 15 minutes into my gaming session, I heard a noise from outside. Assuming it was just a family member or neighbor, I brushed it off. But moments later, the sliding glass door leading to the backyard opened, and a man I'd never seen before walked in. Shocked, I realized the door hadn't even been locked. Panic set in as I watched the stranger with long hair step inside. Without a second thought, I ran up the stairs and burst into the living room, breathless and frantic. When I told everyone there was a random man who entered the basement, they didn't take me seriously. However, as I continued to convince them, they got worried. Some ventured downstairs to investigate while the rest of us anxiously waited upstairs. The details of what happened next are hazy in my memory, but I recall the tension that filled the air. Eventually, the police were called, and we were in the upstairs bedrooms as we waited for their arrival. By the time they reached us, the intruder was gone. I'm unsure if anything was stolen or damaged, but the incident left a lasting impression on me. To this day, it remains one of the creepiest experiences of my life. Just the thoughts of a random man walking into the basement when I was sitting there completely alone.
Back in 2018 or 2019, I was pretty much on and off gaming now and then. I wasn't addicted to gaming, but when I did play, I played a lot. During this period, I played Fortnite on my PS4, often teaming up with online friends, most of whom were strangers I'd met in-game. One day, upon logging in, I noticed a friend request from an unfamiliar username. Without much thought, I accepted it, like I usually did to all friend requests I received. Soon after, I received an invitation to join a Fortnite game from the same person. I accepted it, and we started playing duos. He did have a microphone, but he just didn't speak. Trying to break the ice, I asked a few general questions about the game, receiving no response. I thought maybe he didn't have his headset on or his headset was broken. It's normal. After a swift loss, we decided to play another round. It wasn't until 5 minutes into the second game that he suddenly started speaking. The deep, creepy voice immediately addressed me by my real name, and that creeped me out. Like, how could he know my real name? But it didn't end there. He told me what state and city I lived in. I panicked and immediately pressed the turn-off button on my PlayStation, going so far as to unplug it. My heart raced as I pondered the identity of this person and the bizarre encounter. After regaining composure, I powered the console back on, finding multiple messages from the stranger. I glimpsed at one, revealing more unsettling content. Taking no chances, I reported and blocked the individual, deciding to step away from gaming for a while. Despite the unsettling experience, no further incidents occurred. No unexpected visits or mysterious phone calls. I remained in the dark about the identity of that stranger who seemed to know too much. Years later, the incident still lingers in my memory. I've since resumed gaming, but the mystery of that unsettling encounter remains unsolved. None of my friends ever mentioned similar experiences, and the nature of the incident keeps me wondering about the true intentions of that man. I think about it now and then. Could it have ended differently if I didn't block him? What if he showed up at my house? Maybe my friends were pranking me. I don't know.